Before we start, this will be very cringy and we look dumb. And yeah.
Be prepared.
European settlers were sent to colonize the Americas for 3 reasons: God, gold, and glory. The settlers found God in worshiping openly, gold in claiming land and natural resources, and glory in claiming land for their country. The 4 main European countries that settled in Americas were Spain, France, the Netherlands, and Great Britain. With multiple countries settling Americas came the Columbian Exchange. The new world known as America started to trade goods with the old world. Europeans brought with them food, new technologies, and animals. The Europeans also brought with them disease that killed most of the Native Americans. The Columbian Exchange was mostly beneficial. The North had a great progress in shipbuilding and trading goods with other countries. Middle colonies had high religious toleration.
Jesus, help me. Create more religion, please.
South began to grow cash crops. Together, 13 colonies began to prosper.
Mercantilism only benefited the mother country of Great Britain. Southern still trying to trade, and that includes the slave trade. And Africa was giving colonists slaves in exchange for rum and sugar. That's all. Freedom of religion was also part of this, where Roger Williams, a John Baptist, who founded Rhode Island, and had religious toleration, and as Hutchinson was an important participant in freedom of religion was also part of this, where Roger Williams, a John Baptist, who founded Rhode Island, and then Massachusetts had Pilgrims, Kurds, and merchants. Pennsylvania had Quakers. Maryland had Haven for Catholics. And the First Great Awakening, which had Jonathan Edwards and George Whitefield, was a series of Christian revivals that swept Britain and America. And the triangular trade was how the colonists and British traded and American colonies and wanted to religious Mercantilism benefited only the mother country.
The causes of the American Revolution are the Stamp Act that put a tax on all paper goods, the Proclamation Line of 1763, and the tea, sugar, and molasses laws, all preventing colonists from drinking or buying tea. The Sons and Daughters of Liberty, led by John and Abigail Adams, rebelled against Parliament with the Boston Tea Party. Boston Tea Party led to the Intolerable Acts.
No!
Oh. As a result, they declared America an independent country with the Declaration of Independence.
America! Independencia!
At the same time, the Battle of Lexington and Concord was being fought. The result was a shot heard around the world. This led to 4 years of conflict known as the American Revolution. The only good thing out of the Articles of Confederation was the Northwest Ordinance. This created a system to allow states into the Union.
They don't even out! Push!
The Founding Fathers drafted a new plan of government. It would be separated into 3 branches. All the branches had some power over the other.
Checks and balances!
With the new constitution came the issue of representation.
Equality.
Small states won equality, and large states won representation based on population. The compromise to this became known as the Great Compromise.
Responsibilities of American citizen. This time starts off with the Bill of Rights, a document pushed by anti-federalists for individual rights. These rights are still used to this day. From this, the 14th Amendment was created. Then there was the argument of citizenship. There was birthright citizenship, and there was naturalization. This all summed up to celebrating Freedom Week.
Doggies!
Basically, celebrating our national identity. You know.
Just a pupper. The adults didn't want to come. There's our celebration.
Congress put a tax on European goods. The northern states were okay with it, but the Southern didn't like it. It forced people to buy American products. This city was known as the Age of Common Man. This stated that he was a normal citizen like the people.
I'm like you, and still you, because you're the only person here with me.
Calhoun stated that the states could decide on what they want in federal law.
I can do what I want.
Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act. Andrew wanted the land to expand the U.S. territory. Western versus Georgia was that the Cherokee sued Georgia. The federal government voted in favor of the Cherokee.
The Cherokee should stay.
But Jackson ignored the court.
Whoa, who needs you?
Industrialization included workers having low pay, high hours, and unsafe conditions. It supported free enterprise, which involved businesses having little government involvement.
Do what you want. Like, I don't care anymore. You know.
Thomas Sowell created the Musson River School that included art inspired by nature. George Allan Poe was one of the writers at that time. Some people emphasized the beauty of America, while others emphasized the bad side of the U.S. And churches created the temperance movement to prohibit alcohol.
Stop being an alcoholic.
Horton's band created the education reform so that kids could go to school instead of work. Women like Susan B. Anthony created the women's right reform so that women could vote.
Go vote! Stop talking, go vote!
Abolitionists like Frederick Douglass wanted slavery to be abolished.
Time to end slavery.
That's it. Stop being like that. Who are you texting?
Dorix Six created the prison and mentally ill reform to provide better conditions for prisoners and patients.
The Republic consists of the War of 1812, which was a war between Britain and America because Britain didn't see America as independent yet. Going past that, there was also the new government trying to figure itself out all over the place with its democracy and foreign policy. Then there was the Supreme Court decisions like Marbury versus Madison, McCulloch versus Maryland, and Gibbons versus Oakland. And finally, the portrait of America, or the fact that America was the agriculture and the transportation.
Grass. Thinking about
The regional differences. Civil War was a war between the north side and the south side of America. It was all over slavery and states' rights. The North got a new president, Abraham Lincoln, which the South was afraid of. Lincoln wanted to leave slavery alone, but did not want it to spread in the new states. This was one of the bloodiest wars known to America since it was a war within itself. The war ended slavery, not really did it end slavery with the Emancipation, whatever, Proclamation. And during the war, the North used the Anaconda Plan, which looked like a snake surrounding everything. And yes. So the Civil Rights Bill was introduced guaranteeing freedmen's rights, which didn't work as well. So the 13th Amendment, freedmen had to pay back. And then the West, there was many acts, such as the Homestead Act, which the settlers got 160. The South was under Reconstruction when the Civil War ended and wanted to put it back the Union, lasting for 12 years. Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth and was replaced by Andrew Johnson, taking over his plan. The Freedmen's Bureau was created to help the former slaves get back into society and work back into the world. Black codes were replacing slave laws, which weren't working as much since some Southerners didn't want to help the freedmen. The amendment gave the freedmen the right to vote. Then, the West, the Great Plains Indians led to the Indian Wars, and then everything started with the American Second Industrial Revolution, which had labor. So during the West and the American Industrial Revolution, there was labor movements, which one of them was the Knights of Labor. And it was the start of manufacturing in the South, and there was new inventions made. A freedman got a plantation, like a little land, and they were provided by the owner, in which it passed, which abolished slavery. The 14th Amendment gave the freedmen American citizenship, and the 15th Hiram Rebels is the first African American elected in Congress. The sharecropping system was made during Reconstruction, which was basically whenever